swimming towards a vicious dream. Don't you know we're the walking dead, dead, dead? Our lives were meant to be this bleak. Somehow they got into our heads, heads, heads. We're wide awake, yet still asleep. We're the walking fear and hatred, dull and jaded. It's all been debated and manipulated. Nothing's ever as it seems. We're bound to believe everything they scream. Don't you know we're the walking dead, dead, dead? Our lives were meant to be this bleak. Somehow they got into our heads, heads, heads. We're wide awake, yet still asleep. We're the walking dead. We're the walking dead, dead. Oh, 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 oh. We're the walking dead. We're the walking dead, dead. Oh, 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 oh. Highly sedated, intoxicated. We're automated and overpopulated. Don't you know we're the walking dead, dead, dead? Our lives were meant to be this bleak. Somehow they got into our heads, heads, in our heads. We're wide awake, yet still asleep. We're the walking dead. We're the walking dead, dead. Oh, 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 oh. We're the walking dead. We're the walking dead, dead. Oh, 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 oh. Highly sedated, intoxicated. We're automated and overpopulated. We're all fish in a stream, swimming towards a vicious dream. Don't you know we're the walking dead, dead, dead? Our lives were meant to be this bleak. Somehow they got into our heads, heads, heads. We're wide awake, yet still asleep. We're the walking, we're the walking, fear and hatred, dull and jaded. It's all been debated and manipulated. Nothing's ever as it seems. We're bound to believe everything they scream. Don't you know we're the walking dead, dead, dead? Our lives were meant to be this bleak. Somehow they got into our heads, heads, heads. We're wide awake, yet still asleep. intoxicated.
Hi there, everybody. They call me the Governor, and welcome to this live stream for the mid-season finale of Fear the Walking Dead. And I'm joined by some lovely people. We're going to go around and have them introduce themselves, and then we're going to talk about Padre. So we will start with someone who hasn't been on for a little bit. Bebe, tell us about you.
Hello, I'm Bebe Rose. I used to be a reactor. The 5th was my last day posting videos on my main channel. Y'all can follow me on Twitter at BabyRose86, but that will be deleted. Y'all can follow me on my new account at Dolores_Mayhem if you want like future live tweets of The Walking Dead and Fear the Walking Dead and Chucky also too. And but yeah, that's all about me. So somebody else.
All right, Karena.
Hello, I'm back again. Thank you so much for having me again for second week. Definitely appreciate that. I am not a reactor, but I am a big fan of all things Walking Dead and all things Rick and Michonne. So absolutely happy to be here, and I'm ready to talk about this episode.
All right, Rick and Michonne, two of my least favorite people. But go on. Tomaj.
Oh.
What's going on, y'all?
No.
I love Rishon too. That's my peoples right there. Rishon for life. Yeah, I'm from Big Brother Little Sis Reacts, where I do reactions with my little sister. I do reactions to the Walking Dead universe shows alone. She's not into it. It scares the hell out of her. But I love it. So you can catch my reactions over there.
Awesome. And of course, I am the Governor. I am on Fandom Spotlite. My series, The Governor Reacts, will be back in February. We are doing the final season of the main show. And, yeah, we got some more stuff coming. Maybe that Captain Kyle guy will react along with Maiden to another show coming up. You know, an older show. I don't want to give anything away. And, yeah, you can check us out on Fandom Spotlight. We got a whole bunch of stuff coming from LA Comic-Con. But right now, that's not very important. Because what's important is Padre, the final episode of the first half of Season 7 of Fear the Walking Dead. And it kind of gives us a look at what happened to Alicia. So, who wants to talk about, what happened to Alicia after she was locked up by Teddy? Who wants to start?
Oh, gosh.
Let's go for it.
That's a can of worms. Well, all right. Well, we picked right up where we left off with her getting that door slammed in her face. And, she's screaming at Teddy, like, let me out of here. I'm not making the world how you want it.
That's what I'm counting on.
Yeah. So I don't know exactly what he meant yet. But Alicia was quickly trying to find her way out of there. I was right with her. I'm like, yeah, she got to get out of here. She has this sense of urgency, like her friends don't know what's going on. She got to be the one to warn them because she didn't fully trust Strand to get the message out. Yep. So, she tried to get out, but it didn't work. She met an ally in Will. So we finally got to see him and Alicia meet. But I don't know how he managed to avoid all the people all that time, but he did. So he came out of nowhere. Then those people, they took her. Somebody didn't even know who she was. The audacity to snatch her up, tried to feed her to the walker on the tree. I'm like, what is this? This guy. And they're like, wait. This is Alicia. I'm like, how didn't he know this? I'm like, but yeah. And then she messed him up real good. I was cheering for her then. But yeah, that's how it started. I don't know how far y'all want me to go into this, but
well, I think that's far enough. She meets Will. She meets the group.
Yeah.
And I can tell Bebe is already shipping Will and Alicia, even though it's too late for that, as we know.
I thought it was a missed opportunity with them two, honestly. Because like I always said, like with fear, they have a tendency of knocking off characters that has good potential. And Will and Alicia, I like to see how their relationship grows in this season and the other half of the season B. But my whole thing is with Teddy having Alicia down there, because Arnold thinking that like, she's a leader, do what she says. I'm like, did Teddy want Dakota to die? Like, she's not that second person, because John Dory Sr. said in the finale that he needs two people. It's him and Alicia. So I'm like, so really and truly, he just manipulated Dakota to kill Dakota anyway, so he can be hiding in that bunker by himself, then rule it with Alicia. So, but I'm just so happy to see. I'm just so happy to see Will.
I disagree there, because I'm pretty sure that Teddy was going to bring Dakota down in that bunker that June and John ended up staying in, so that they could go back and turn the two keys and launch the rest of the missiles to get everyone that he missed the first time.
Yeah.
So I don't think he wanted to kill Dakota then. He was still manipulating her, still had use for her. And then,
and kissing her on the back of the neck. Let's not forget that part.
Yeah. Well,
which was gross.
I mean, Mr. Glover did such a good job playing that role.
Did.
Playing creepy.
He did.
I mean, he is such a real nice guy in real life, but he can play. I mean, look at Lionel Luthor. He was the Riddler. He's, and being Teddy. Yeah, we're going to talk a little bit more about that a little bit later. But what were your thoughts, Karena, about how it started? What was up with Alicia?
Okay, well, happy to see Alicia finally. I mean, it's been 8 episodes of Where is Waldo / Alicia. So as an OG Fear watcher, I was happy to see her. Still don't understand what Teddy wanted her to do, and maybe we'll get some insight into that in the second half of 7B. Maybe we will, maybe we won't. But I'm glad that they picked up. I'm glad that they picked up right where it left off for her with us as an audience, but that they also did present day as well. I'm glad that they did it that way instead of a full flashback episode. So I'm with Bebe Rose. I really would have liked to have seen the relationship of Alicia and Will. As we know, Strand killed Will, threw him off of that building. So, that's a complete wrap. But just glad that she's back. Hopefully, we'll get to see more of her in the second half than just one episode.
Mm-hmm. I do want to touch on the chat. Robert made a comment about what happened to Alicia later. We're going to get to that. And we got a bunch of people, Erica and Joyful First, are like, they like Will, but he was a bit naive. I think it was a bit sheltered. He had been in that bunker since the whole thing began. So, he hadn't really dealt with the reality. Joyful First, and I agree, whenever you see John Glover, you're in for a treat. I mean, the guy is a phenomenal actor.
He is.
And it was good to see what she was doing. It looked, initially when he locked her in there, it looked like it was just like one room, but then obviously it was the entrance to a larger complex, which had a bunch of rats in it. So it's like, that was interesting. Did Teddy not find an exterminator to go down in the hole with them, Or,
Tell me.
Yeah, I had a lot of empty rooms too. Like with the ammunition room was empty. I think she had checked another room and it was empty. At first, I'm like, is anybody even here? I thought there was people down here. And then somebody came and snatched her up. But I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had so much space. I mean, they could have fit a ton of people down there, but they just want to kill everybody.
I wouldn't mind being a prisoner at that place. Like, it's not, instead of like one room, you got multiple rooms that you can go to.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I can find myself on out if I can, but
it was a nice place to definitely sit out the apocalypse. But they didn't cover all of the story. Will actually must have found a way out. And apparently Alicia found that way too and led everybody out into the wasteland. So let's talk about the modern day thing where, we got this red fog of radioactive blood coming over her camp. They're running away. And Alicia needs Morgan and a certain biter, which was kind of strange.
Yeah.
Her plan was that this senator would still retain enough of an instinct to go to Padre. Thoughts on that? Is that, I mean, we know how it turned out, but...
Well,
Go ahead, Karena.
are you gonna say something? Come on.
Okay, I was just going to say that I really thought, okay, Alicia has lost it. You know, I mean, she's been through a lot. But I was like, our girl, she finally lost her mind. Why do you think that this walker can remember anything that happened when he was still alive? Like, that sounded very much like Teddy conditioning. And so that was a little bit off-putting, and I was like, okay, she's lost it, and it made me sad.
It reminded me of Milton, thinking that there was something that remained behind.
Yeah, Milton, him too. And you see what happened with him. He almost got,
Yes, and then I turned him into one of them. Bebe, go ahead. You're like itching.
No, because I'm thinking, because I remember I saw somebody on YouTube talking about this, like that since The Walking Dead. What's that little girl, Lizzie, the one who got shot in the head by Carol?
Yeah.
yeah.
So like, she believed that there's something like even though they're dead, there's something is there within the walker. So for a long time, we haven't even heard something like this in The Walking Dead ever since then, until they brought it back here in Fear the Walking Dead, where Walker Vasquez, that's what I call him, either have some little insight of where Padre is. And I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of like, that walker must have want to go somewhere. I mean, that walker was crawling in a tunnel. He was going somewhere. So I'm like, well, is Alicia crazy, or is there some truth to that? So I don't know, because I thought Alicia was crazy. I'm like, Alicia, you might as well just calm down. Calm down. Like, calm down. I was like, I don't want you to be crazy. We just got you back now. Like, don't turn Teddy 2.0.
Well, we'll talk about her condition in a bit. Tomaj, what was your...
Well, I was trying to keep an open mind, because I'm like, okay, well, she knows something I don't, because I know that this doesn't work. He's not going to retain any information. So I'm like, I'm trying to make it make sense in my head. I'm like, okay, so maybe she knows, okay, his family is at Padre. They might not be letting people in. Maybe she wants to show that I was, connected with this guy in a way. I knew him, we were together. So I'm like, maybe she's keeping him alive as like a admittance, some way to get in. But I'm like, then she wouldn't even talk about none of that. So I'm like, she was just following it. I'm like, this just ain't Alicia. This ain't making sense. She too smart for this. So
yeah.
I just was trying to keep an open mind, but I was just like, what are we doing here?
Please deposit 2 biters for admission. Well, my thoughts are, in season 1 of the original show, you had that girl walking around with her doll. You had... It seemed like something did remain in the first season of some of those biters, that they kind of might have had a little bit of remnant of memories. It's like, Morgan's
that
wife...
one had picked up the rock in the first season.
Yeah, they seem to have...
Climb defense.
Some kind... They were a little more with it, and even it was like Morgan's wife seemed to... be drawn to where Morgan was hiding. So there could have been a little bit of remnants. Yeah. The only way to retcon this to make sense, in my opinion, is to say that the virus has mutated, because as we all know, viruses mutate, there's new strains. So the newer ones, the newest strains pretty much have eliminated any remnants. So I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about I'm talking about a little thing that ends with 19. Um, and let me get to the chat real quick. Dakota Honor says, half your stuff belongs to Negan. Nope. Sorry, not going to happen. But hello back. Grimes Girl 26 says that Alicia's not all there right now, and agrees with me that it's kind of similar to Milton's theory, which didn't turn out too well. I thought that was brown liquor until I saw the McDee's logo. Now I'm still suspicious. Okay, that was all of interesting. Robert Travis says, I thought Alicia was losing it, and I wonder why the writers didn't go in depth as to how she came to that conclusion that walkers maintain memory. I mean, the only reason I could think that she might have thought that, the biter retains some memory is, seeing some behavior. Maybe he unlocked a door to get out of, maybe there was a code at the end of that tunnel. And somehow the biter knew to type in the code. But I find it highly unlikely. But I don't know what evidence would have turned her to that. So I think she might have been affected by other things. Just wanted some hope. And I think Morgan was pretty much of the same thought as most of the people watching and us that, Alicia's a little woohoo. Out there.
Morgan definitely spoke for me that episode because, what is we doing, Alicia?
Right.
Seriously.
But he's very trusting, that Morgan. She's like, do you trust me? And he's like, yeah. And then later on, he's like, what the fuck did I agree to? This is not.
It was me because I was like, okay, I'm open-minded. I'm gonna go along with it. I ain't got the choice, but I'm like, okay, but what is he doing? What is this leading to? And Strand didn't make things better. I know we're going to get to that, but I'm like...
Yeah, pretty much they're found the spider, and all the way, Morgan is like, you sure? You sure? And then, of course, Strand's Rangers show up, so start shooting at Morgan. So apparently, Victor is a little bit peeved still about the whole, attempted poisoning, just a little bit.
Just a little bit, yeah, not too much.
And apparently, the deal that Grace made only is within the perimeter of his, within a certain radius of the tower, and after that, it's open season on Morgan. Do you need a hunting license? I'd like a Morgan Jones hunting license, please. What do those cost? So, yeah. So they're basically, being pursued by... Strand was actually out there because he wanted to see the job done, apparently. And then, what was your thought about, here's Strand seeing Alicia and, and Alicia's reaction and Victor's reaction to that?
Okay. I was happy to see them together, Victor and Alicia, because, again, as a OG Day One Fear watcher, they started it all. So it was good to see them finally in the same scene together. And when Strand talked to Alicia, he really was pouring his heart out, come back to the tower with me. You're the only person that I can trust. When Alicia said, are you sure? The look on Victor's face, he was hurt. He really was wounded because, as I said last week, Victor loved Madison, and Alicia kind of represents Madison to him. And so when she said, are you sure you can trust me? He just looked devastated. He looked devastated. So, but, it's kind of also what he deserves. So, and I love Strand, but it's what he deserves.
Mm-hmm.
And just to add to that, before you got other guys answer this, what's your thoughts about, would you say that Victor actually got in the way with stopping the missiles, or did he, he got to the door I mean, if Morgan had gone through the way that he wanted to, Morgan might have actually not made it. So it's hard to say. I mean, Victor did try to kill Morgan, but it's hard to say if Morgan had gone through with his plan through that radioactive area, he might have survived. He might not have. And, in order to get to, stop the missiles. So it's hard to say with the what ifs, but Tomaj, maybe who wants to go next? Tomaj?
Well, to go off your last point, the difference between Morgan and Strand is Morgan's willing to lay down his life to save everyone versus Victor, he's going to sacrifice you to save everybody. Yeah. He's not going to sacrifice himself. Yeah. So that was really just the big difference. And yeah, maybe if Morgan went through, they could have got there faster. Maybe if Victor didn't, sacrifice Morgan and Dakota didn't show up, all these delays, we could have. But, I mean, who knows? But I was definitely happy to see Victor and Alicia reunite. But she's like all of us at this point. Victor, I don't know about you. You a little sus. She's like, I'm going to keep following this walker. And then she just jumped. She's like, okay, I got to go. I'm doing something. Talk to you later, Victor. And then Morgan's like, yeah, I'm going with her. He jumped and he shot at him. I'm like, oh, wow. And then when they got to the bottom, no, I'm jumping a little ahead, but they got to the bottom, he was like, help my friends up. I'm like, friends, you just shot at Morgan. You mean your friend Alicia? I'm like, how dare you call Morgan your friend after you just shot at him?
Well, you don't shoot at your friends, come on.
Oh, mercy. That's funny.
Maybe your thoughts on the reunited and it felt so bad for Victor?
I really don't have nothing to say to Victor at this point. But I'm very happy to see them. Like Karena said, I also being an OG of Fear since it came out. It's good to see them again. However, though, with it did break my heart to see Victor like looking all sad when Alicia said, "I don't want to like co-lead with you at the tower." But see, it's like he want to push her away, but then you want to bring her back in. It's like, it's that time. It's like, Strand, what do you want? You want her to be there or not? I'm confused. But it's kind of like, I know we're going to get into this, but it's like, since I didn't get my way, I'm going to harm somebody that she loves. And, I think we'll get to that with Morgan. Almost Morgan, but Strand is very complex. He is so complex, and I'm tired. I love him, but I do want to kill him. And I'm tired of talking about Strand because he's running my blood pressure. I want to live to see 36. Okay, I don't have time to talk to Strand. I don't want to talk about Strand because I have a lot to say about that dude too. I really should do. Well, but I like this. I love it though.
Yeah, I feel like he's like at war with two sides of himself on who he wants to be. And it constantly flip-flops to, I guess, whatever situation he's in or whatever scenario comes up to change his mind. And he is complex, like you said. He's very complex. So
he's still my guy. I want to wring his neck. But ever since I saw him in that cage in the first season, I was like, that's the guy. That is the guy. So you can't turn your back on him. But yeah.
Well, he's also crossed a few
fun to
lines.
watch.
Yeah, it's like you want him to die so bad, but at the same time, what would that do with the Fear franchise though? Because he is just like the pinnacle of Fear, of somebody who can be on your side at one point. But it's like sometimes what Strand does, sometimes it makes sense. It's kind of like, oh, dang, Strand, well, he is right. But dude, you threw me under the bus. Like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Like, come on now. I mean,
yeah. He's done a lot to some of them, and they kind of just gave him a pass. Maybe more passes than they should have given him, especially Daniel. Daniel has been really patient with this man. And
absolutely.
That's one of I'm looking forward to their scenes, hopefully in the back half, because those two, their relationship is like one of the most interesting to me. Just because there's so much tension.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Well, he shot Daniel in the face, but also when Daniel was going through issues with his memory loss, and that Strand said, "Come with me, I'll take care of you," and he was sincere about that. So
I don't think Strand knows exactly what he wants. It's like he wants to atone for what he's done, but he wants to be, the king and be able to do what he wants. So I think he is,
Right, so,
as you were saying, he's conflicted with himself, but then he crosses some lines and does things like throwing Will off a rooftop, and that's not something you can really take back.
Larson.
Yeah.
Larsons, the family of Larsons, he had hired somebody to kill the Larsons, including that little girl, too.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Yep, he crosses a lot of lines, and,
And the thing about the Strand and Daniel thing, now he did agree to take Daniel in and help him. Now, what if Daniel would have showed up to the tower? Would he have took him in then? So it just goes to show how much he flip-flops, because I don't think he would have. I think he would have seen Daniel as a threat. Too close to him.
You're right. Well, Daniel's a killer, so I mean, you want Daniel on your side.
You do want him on your side, but
a little bit losing it too. Let me touch on the chat. So Lottie Perkins says, "So will Alicia reunite with Madison, or will she die before Madison returns?" There's still this whole thing. I don't know if Madison's going to return. I don't know if her sacrifice. We never saw a body, so when you don't see a body, it's hard to say whether or not someone is actually dead or not.
Well, we do know she's returning because they said so on The Talking Dead on Sunday night. That
have you been on the internet lately?
Oh, I didn't watch that. So.
Oh yeah,
Are we spoiling
they had her on The Talking Dead.
She's officially making her return.
Yeah,
she's coming back in 7B. Yes, she's coming back. So she's
going to come back and be like, alive. "Hi, Alicia. Oh, now you're biting."
Yep.
Whoopsie.
Yep. True.
That's a whole thing we could talk about later, because I got some things to say about that situation.
About Madison coming back?
Yeah. It changes a lot. It changes the game.
It does change a lot. Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
So Joyful Verse says the Walker was after the rats. Morgan has lost his mind before, so maybe he didn't want to push Alicia and he wanted to find the truth herself. That's it's quite possible. And Olaf Farron says, "I obviously hate easily pronounceable names." So yes, I agree there. Lonnie Perkins also says, "Will Morgan save Strand's life? Will he jail him like Rick did Negan?" I think it's more likely that if they win, he's going to be like, "Victor, go. We never want to see you. Just go." If he doesn't die in the whole thing, which means that it opens the door for a return.
But do they want him to return? Do they want him to build another community, another army? It's like they've let him go in the past, and it's like, I don't know. Would it be repeating the same mistake?
Well, what probably happened is we're going to be like, "Go," and as he's walking away, Alicia will shoot him in the back of the head. But that's just my thought. And say, "Morgan, you're way too soft."
Morgan flips a lot too with the killing and non-killing, so it's really just going to depend on Morgan's mindset, and then also how Grace factors into it. Grace and the baby, if he does anything to them, or if they're harmed, that could also weigh on Morgan's decision on killing or jailing him. Plus, Alicia is going to have to get a say. So
Deborah Ulmer says, "And a lot of people in life are like Strand, that they will save themselves over others." So that is unfortunately true. I mean, it's a natural instinct, unless it's, it's natural to not care about others unless they're like, a lot of mothers will, throw themselves in front of a bus to save their children, as will fathers, as will, so, but it does, it really depends on who's being sacrificed. Let's say, let's go. Morgan's my favorite character from Lonnie. Robert Travis says, "I feel the reason Strand hates Morgan so deep down is he wanted to be Morgan. But then again, he refuses to do the things that Morgan would do. He doesn't follow the same path."
Yeah.
Which I agree. He admires Morgan and what he stands for, but he's not willing to to walk the walk that Morgan does.
Yeah.
You know?
He's got a love-hate for Morgan.
Mm-hmm. He took his name last season when he first met Howard. So
He did.
Yep.
He did.
He's
Maybe
like,
maybe he just sees Morgan as a failure because his community and his way didn't work. So he's like, I admire what he's tried to do, but it didn't work. So that he's a failure in my eyes, and I can't repeat those mistakes because he doesn't want to be a failure. So maybe that could be why he's not.
well, I don't think
like,
that's entirely
Morgan.
fair to Morgan. I mean, his community was working.
Oh, I agree. Yeah,
And
I
then
agree.
there's friggin' nuclear bombs. It's like, what are you supposed to
Mhm.
do? You know, when there's nuclear bombs
Right.
coming, it's like, it's kind of hard to keep that community together in the face of that. And Victor just happened to stumble into a place that,
Mhm.
you know, was in a prime location to not, you know, be affected as much by the radiation and, you know, the desolation. So I definitely think that Morgan had the right idea, and he was building up what could have been a new Alexandria or a new, you know, hilltop, you know, just without the whispers fucking things up. And, you know, but no one saw Teddy coming. You know, who's thinking when you got the world's pretty much ended anyway that someone wants to do even more harm? So,
Yeah, I agree. He just likes to throw in Morgan's face that he's a failure for some reason. So I'm like, hey, all right, if that's the way you see it. But I
Strand
mean,
wants
where
to
was your?
win.
Yeah, I'm like, where was your community that you took from Virginia? I don't see none of those people.
No.
Well, I think some of those rangers are actually
Just those
from his
rangers.
whole community.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But the
Yeah.
people, it's all about the people. You just let all your people die. Yeah, cherry
He
pick
wanted the
your favorites.
muscle. He didn't want the people. He wanted
Yeah.
the muscle. The people with, who knew how to handle business. He did not want the the
Victor
folks that
Strand
needed
gets
taken
rid of the
care
dead weight.
Yep, and that is not how you
Yeah.
lead. That's why his leadership just wouldn't be for me.
But did he turn some people away though? Like people who work in medicine, carpenter, whatnot. He's
Some
just like,
good people.
no.
He was just
Like,
having a really bad week and was just like, you know. Grimes Girl 26 says Strand doesn't really want to share, not even with Alicia. So, saying Alicia accepted his offer, you know, he would probably find himself butting heads with her and, you know, be like, this was a mistake. You know, why don't we come up to the roof? Let me show you where Will went. You know, I don't think it'd go quite that.
I'm-
Joy Ford says also Strand is pulling a Maggie, using people to get what they want and not caring if they die in the pursuit of their own endeavors. I don't know that Maggie is quite that far gone, but people like Gage, you know, she doesn't give a shit. So it's like, well, you know, I'm not going to open the door.
Oh, I get
Right.
what they say.
Yeah.
Because I
Yeah.
think Maggie was looking for some payback against the Reapers, and, you know, that's why she, like, gathered everyone together. But she was hoping that only people she didn't care about would die, you know?
Right.
Mhm. And I think she expected a bit more support, but she got resistance from like Rosita, and Carol didn't want to come. And those are some people you want on your side, really, if you go into war. But they were like, no, we ain't doing that. We want to protect our home.
Yeah, it's
So-
kind of like what happened at the where did they go to in season 6? Kilnegan's group.
The sanctuary, or the satellite of the
Satellite.
sanctuary?
I think they kind of like remember like what had happened and what they had done, and then the whole Abraham and Glenn had happened. It's kind of like we don't know the Reapers, so we're gonna like sacrifice Alexandria to these group of Reapers and whatnot. They're gonna come back and probably take something or destroy our people. So no, I'm not gonna do that. But
And they got
Right.
kids now.
Yeah.
They didn't have
Yeah.
kids. Not everybody
Exactly.
had kids back then. So it's like, and they home can't take no attack. It cannot. So they were like,
No.
we are not
It's already
trying to double
broken
down
down.
on this. Right.
Nope.
Yeah, which we'll see next season how well the defenses work. But on the other hand, you know, I don't think that Abraham and Glenn were a direct result of them attacking the satellite station, because it appeared that was kind of like their MO. It's like they come to a community, they grab somebody and demonstrate what happens to those who don't cooperate, So I think Negan would have bashed somebody's head in regardless, whether they attacked the satellite. But the satellite station was an extra reason to do it. And I don't know that I would have been as forgiving as Negan. It's like you killed a lot of my people. Deborah says he's referring to Strand. He's complicated his life, has probably led him to that way. Olive Farron says Strand sounds messy as fuck. And Lonnie says, I think Strand's hate for Morgan is not really hate. I just think Strand has grown vicious, cold-hearted. He's protecting himself, and maybe he's been protecting Morgan in a way all this time, too. I don't know. I've always sensed a rivalry between them.
It was true. And Strand had gone through a lot. If you have watched season, like from the beginning, like he lost so much. I mean, he was in love with the dude in season 2, lost him. And it felt like,
Abigail,
he felt like he failed like so many times. So it's kind of like, I cannot fail. I'm going to like have, and then with Alicia, it's kind of like, Dad, that's the only person who I love. And it's kind of like, oh, I failed her. Well, you know what? I'm going to rise and I'm going to destroy anything that's in my past because, I want the people who I love, but they keep going away. But again, it's Strand is like, what you doing, it ain't working. It's not working. Like, deal with your demons and then have a talk with Morgan, talk it out and figure out how to work together instead of like you fail, but really truly you saying to yourself that I failed. It's kind of like that whole mirror. So I'm sorry I had to get all therapeutic, but Strand,
Well, I think Strand needs some therapy. There is talk that he's full on evil now. He's just like, especially after what he did to the Larsons.
Yeah.
And there's some thought that from Joy First that he wants Alicia to be there to see what he's accomplished so he can gain her admiration and that she would then command the loyalty of everyone else.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I agree with Joy.
So we're going to dodge her getting bit. How are we going to dodge that one?
Yes.
I really don't want to talk about it at the same time. I'm just like,
Yes, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it.
All right. Start us off.
This was the week for people. If you watch both shows that were on this week, Fear and World Beyond, this was the week for people getting bit in the left arm. And it was just like, what is going on in this Walking Dead universe? Number one, like that was too much. The double biting, the double losing of the arms. But as far as Alicia, okay, fan favorite. So we knew in present time because, as I said earlier, they were flashing back and forth between past and present. We knew that she was alive, so she had survived the bite. But I'm telling you, I was screaming at the TV when she just kind of slumped and started crying and was like, oh, it's over. I'm like, if you don't cut your damn arm off and just shut up and get it done, like, what needs to be done. What are you doing? What are you doing? But it was like the Alicia that we have known that has been fighting, for 7 seasons. It was like she was completely gone. She was like she had no fight left in her. And honestly, until we got to the end of the episode, which we're not going to go there yet, it seemed like the fight was gone until that very end part, which we'll discuss. But it hurt. It hurt to see her like that. It hurt, so defeated. And I just don't understand what the reasoning was for this character to have her bitten and have her lose an arm. Like, I don't make it make sense. I don't know.
I also thought she amputated the arm a little bit too close to the bite. So
that too.
But yeah, I can see her having a momentary thing where she was kind of giving up because the cave-in was caused, obviously they didn't stop the bombs. So that was kind of like, what's the point now? You know, she's thinking probably all her friends are dead up on the surface. She doesn't realize they were able to stop some of the nukes and were able to survive. You know, pretty much everybody survived, except people who don't care about or wanted to see fried, like Dakota. That was nice. Flash fried Dakota. Should be a new dish. But, yeah, for her to, you know, first of all, to have that tool, you know, to cut off her arm, that was tough. But that was a bit weird. And then to see that she got apparently bit again by the senator, you know, when we saw that and then we realized she was bit earlier, that was something. That prosthetic was, you know, wow.
It was vicious. I was like, I think my thumbnails was my face to that. Like my jaw just dropped completely. Like I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Like, my whole arm was just tense. It just was,
It's like, was she that attached to her bones? I mean, not after she chopped them off, but she didn't want to.
Well, they say you can still feel your limbs when they're, you know, right when they're cut off, you can still feel it for a bit. So maybe she was just like, okay, I can feel it. I got to see it. I'd have been like me. It didn't happen. This didn't happen. I'll put a glove on it. We're fine. I can feel it.
Yeah.
But for me, the whole situation, I agree with everything y'all said. But even before she got bit, like, it's like I didn't understand the decision because like when the cave collapsed, she like looked ahead. She seen the walker was still going, and like, but she wanted to like tell Will she was okay, but she was like trying to decide like she's like if I yell, this walker's gonna come back, but I also want to tell him he's alive. But I'm like, you should just wait till the walker's a little gone and then try to say something. But like she weighed that, but then she yelled anyway. She knew the walker was gonna come back, and she knew it was coming, and her weapon was right there. She really didn't want to kill this walker, but I'm like, if it's your life over getting bit, I'm like, is it killing this walker? It just don't make sense. I'm like, why would she do that? Why would she yell knowing it was going to come back and then let it bite her? And she tried to fight with a rock. Your weapon is right there, ma'am. Like, what was this? What am I watching? This is Alicia. Why would she do this? I just was frustrated. I'm frustrated now. Talk about it.
Sometimes there are some out of character things that the writers have the characters do, and it's like, really?
But it did break my heart, you know, knowing that she thought that that she has an infection from the walker, but we don't even know if it is from the walker or it's just like from tetanus or any other infection. So with her dealing with that whole thing, oh, it's in me, and people telling her maybe it's not. I hate to see that look of defeat, like Karena said, in her face.
I mean, logically, it could be any type of infection, but pretty much in the behind the scenes, they talked about, you know, they wanted to see someone who got bit who was kind of fighting the infection. So it leads me to believe that it is still inside her, but, you know, I mean, it's been a while since this occurred, so, I mean, can her body fight it off? I mean, I think a lot of people.
It's been like upset. 2 months, really.
Yeah, I wish they would have gave that storyline to somebody else, not Alicia. I just don't think it fit her character. It's not her. Because the weapon was right there.
Strand goes, that's like everybody from the first season, except Daniel.
Yeah.
Daniel's still there. Yeah.
So, and Luciana.
Was Luciana in the first?
Lucy was in season.
She was in 2.
Lucy was in season 2.
Second or third season. Third season
2. She came in like 2B.
Okay. Yeah. That's. Yeah. So she's an OG. Kind of.
Mm-hmm.
Some people thought Alicia's arm was gross.
It was.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
it was.
I don't know what they're doing with her character. I don't want to see her go. But like I said, I know I read an article somewhere where it said they were trying to find the perfect exit for her character. Like they were trying to write her out, but there wasn't a sense of urgency to do it. Like it wasn't that she was ready to go. Again, I think it was like sometime last season I read it. Like she wasn't in a rush to leave, but she was looking for a way out. So in my mind, I'm like, is this her exit? Is she planning an exit? Like they're trying to like prolong her death. I don't know if that's what they're trying to go for.
I'm going to say this. If they do to Alicia and Madison what they did to Daniel and Ophelia, I'm going to be pissed off.
Oh,
Because if you remember, Ophelia died seconds before Daniel found her. And I'm like, we couldn't get a father-daughter reunion before she died? Like, it made me so angry. I'm like, it was like 10 seconds. And then there he was. I'm like, she's still warm. She is still warm. So if they do that with Madison and Alicia, if she is leaving the show, and they do that, I'm going to be so pissed off.
I'm hoping they don't. I really don't. I think I would hope. I feel like the Madison thing was. I don't think it was planned. I think it's fan service. Like, I feel like, everybody's been demanding it, and I'm like, they were like, well, it is possible, because Kim Dickens says she only just learned like within a year, so she would have been
January. She knew in January. It's December now, so she's known for an entire 12 months that she was coming back.
Yeah, and they did an interview where they said they planned it as a death, but I think now they changed it. They changed their mind or whatever. So I'm like, if
they're retconning it.
Yeah,
if they're bringing her back, whole situation.
Yeah, if they're bringing her back to replace Alicia just because they don't want the backlash or something, I don't think that. I don't know. I ain't gonna like that too much. I'm happy she's back, but
I think if Alicia is truly gonna die, if she is gonna succumb to this infection, I think that they are probably gonna have her meet her mother. They're gonna have a heart-to-heart, cry, and then Madison's gonna be the one to put her down if she turns. So.
Oh, yeah.
Because, they need to tug the heartstrings in every single fucking way possible. And that's what they're going to do.
And Madison needs to find out that Nick died because she don't know. So that's a whole emotional scene right there. And then that Charlie did it. And Charlie's alive. And Alicia loves her some Charlie. So she has to be the one to defend Charlie, because I don't think anybody else can do it. So
Madison,
that's something they got to touch
I
on.
killed your son.
Charlie's still a kid. She's still a kid, but she did murder Nick. And I don't want. Here I go defending Charlie, and I don't want to, but I'm going to do it anyway. Charlie was with the person who was taking care of her, and in her mind, Nick killed the person who was taking care of her. Yes. So she was defending the death of the person who was taking care of her surrogate father, big brother, whatever we want to call that dude. Mm-hmm. So I understand in that way. If you killed the person who was taking care of me in the Z-Pac, I'm coming after you. I'm coming after you. So, and I like Nick, but fair is fair.
Oh, we just don't know what mindset Madison's gonna have. Something's kept her away this long, and then I don't think it's something good.
Well, I don't think they're gonna be like, "Here's Charlie, the murderer of your son." I think it to be like, "Here's Charlie," and later on she's gonna, find out. People are probably not gonna want to tell her right away. I do want to touch on the chat. Joyful First is saying, "I was so ready for Alicia to be badass from season 6. We haven't really gotten anything." Right. So thumbs up for 7B. Olaf the Farn says, Phantom Limb pain sensation, not for a bit. It's usually for a long time, or it could be for like the rest of your life, depending. X Chamber X says crap writing. There is talk about the Talking Dead announcement. Yeah, Joyful First says repeated storyline on Alicia. They already do this with their nuclear exposure. Is she or isn't she, It's like, we thought she might be dying after she got contaminated walker blood in her face, and she was fine.
Right.
Now she's been bitten and she thinks, I'm going to die. She might be fine. We'll see.
Right. Yeah.
And there's talk about, from Olaf the Farn, perhaps this is the explanation, the proximity to radiation is actually retarding the zombie infection, the biter infection.
Didn't think of that. Because they use radiation to treat some diseases, right?
Especially more cancer, they use, some types of radiation for that, but, some viruses and some bacteria are more susceptible to radiation, or at least would die more quickly than a human being might. Some people think that she wants out. X Chambers says fan service plus desperation. Season 7 is doing badly. I don't think it's doing horribly, but it doesn't have the punch of last season, I have to say.
No.
It's got some good storylines, but it's just, it's been very disjointed.
Yeah, because I just think that you had to get through what everybody is going through after the explosion first. So you got like Morgan's story, Althea's story, and all that. It's kind of like you got to get through all that, which is kind of boring to me in a way. I like the Althea story anyway, but then it's kind of like the actual story had began in episode 7, the pick things up. So it's kind of like you had to go through those slow episodes before you get
the
to
bottle episodes. Yeah. I don't, because then the bottle episodes are my least favorite thing in the Walking Dead universe. Like, it's only fun when it's my absolute favorite character, but I'm like, that doesn't help everybody else. That's So it's like they kept doing that, and they were alienating their cast. Like, I ain't seen Luciana for more than 5 minutes on my screen, and that hurts my soul. Same with Daniel. Like, all of them.
Exactly.
Like, they're main characters, and I barely see them. That's my main number one problem with season 7 right now. Season 6, they did so well focusing on the character they wanted to focus on, but not alienating everybody else. Everybody would still be able to be in the story, or at least some set of characters. Like, why we didn't do that this half, I don't know. It's just like they prioritized Morgan and Strand, and everybody else, good luck. You get in where you fit in, I guess.
It's
I
basically
agree,
servicing
Tomaj.
your
I
cast.
agree.
Yeah, you got to service your cast. You got to let them make appearances. They could have done a lot more B storylines, so we could have seen what's going on.
Absolutely.
I do want to move on to, their eventual finding of what Alicia thinks is Padre, but is, I'm just curious why that Beta made its way to, the congregation around Strand's Tower. Was it just, there could be, on some level, and this is a totally far off theory, and if it's wrong, I'm not going to cry, that maybe the more Bitas that get together, it kind of like instinctively other Bitas want to like join the crowd. Could it be that they have kind of they develop a very primitive hive mentality? They have some kind of reasoning, but they're basically looking for others, which is why when Bitas are walking along, they tend to walk in groups rather than a lot of lone Bitas. Well, I mean, we see them from time to time, but we also see hordes. In fact, the Whisperers were able to buy, impersonating Bitas. Hello.
Hello.
Hello, sis.
Hi.
The Whisperers were able to... and I thought when my cat jumped in, it was funny. The Whisperers were able to use that herd mentality to, gather Bitas and to, herd them, by impersonating. So maybe there is some, nothing of the person remains, but there's still some remnant inside the Bita that says, I need to, like, find others of my kind. And
you know what? That makes a whole lot of sense, because I asked, like, why is all these walkers at this one place? So maybe what you just said, it could, that makes a whole lot of sense. Maybe there is something.
Because we don't have a definitive answer. World Beyond, they did do like the migration pattern study, but they didn't get no like definitive conclusions. They just had a bunch of trackers going everywhere. So. And but like you said, all the walkers ended up finding each other. So even in that show, so yeah, maybe you're right. They just feel each other. They got that sixth sense. I don't know.
Deborah says she thinks it was just the beacon that lead the Bita to Strand, since everywhere else is pretty dark. But he was going in that direction when it was light out, and the beacon was not really visible during the day. But I mean,
Yeah, it's true, but they also changed its natural path because Strand attacked them. So then Alicia had to grab the walker, throw it off the cliff, and then it could have just ended up having to go into a different direction. So like, maybe if Strand didn't interfere, it might have found Padre, but they screwed up its natural course and they just kept walking after that. So I don't know. Maybe she would have got lucky, but I don't think it would have. I don't know if there is a Padre anymore at this point, if they even have time to explore that. Because I just knew we was going to see it in that episode, but
if they are going to find it in the second half of the season. Robert Travis says, I feel like season 7 is okay. It's not good or bad. More like everyone's stories are converging into this one thing, which is finding Padre. However, we get to the end, and Alicia finds Will. And I just got to say, I got to put this out there. Strand is a fucking idiot. Because, yes, that was Will. She recognized the thing. He didn't have to admit, because Morgan wasn't there. He doesn't know. You know, none of his people are going to say, oh, yeah, he threw him off the roof. He didn't have to admit that he killed Will. He could have been just like, what are you talking about? This spider here just wandered into, you know, the horde as yours did. You know, I don't know what happened. You know, and if it's now, you know, all broken up, well, sometimes, you know, these spiders get damaged. You know, it's not my fault. So he could have totally lied, but instead he had to come clean, which, you know, has a certain nobility, but it was stupid nobility. And then, because Alicia was about to agree, at least for her people's sake, you know, they were working on a deal, and then, you know, her discovery of Will just totally, you know, threw that out the window. And I also have to say Strand is stupid in another way, because someone says, we're going to war. The next scene should be Strand's people just mowing down both Morgan and Alicia. Where's the war? You know, you don't let Alicia go grab her army and come back. You just say, oh, you want a war? No war.
That's what I would do.
But I think Strand is so hurt in that moment, he just probably didn't even know how to react to it. Because this was like the furthest thing from his mind. He was not planning on going to war today. Well, he was with Morgan, but he thought it was going to be a quick shootout and Morgan was going to be done. But yeah, he didn't expect this to be the outcome of his day. But yeah, he definitely, I don't know that he's ever lied to Alicia though. He just might not have wanted to start there. I don't think he would have wanted to build his empire with Alicia based off of a lie. Maybe that's what it was all about.
Well, that's why he sent her away from Virginia's compound, remember, because he knew that he couldn't do all the dirty things if Alicia was there looking him in the face. So he sent her away so that he could do everything that he felt like he needed to do. So no, he doesn't lie to Alicia, and she's kind of his, you know, his kryptonite, so to speak.
And that's like almost the reason why he said what he said to Alicia, like, because Will said that he loved you, kind of like if Will would have called or catch up with Alicia and brought her to the tower, it's like, I'm not there yet. I'm still building, because if she knows what I'm doing, she won't tell me, no, Strand, that's the wrong way to do it. No, I want to do my way. So kill off the person who's attached to Alicia, so you don't have to contact her to say, hey, I'm at the tower. So yeah.
Absolutely.
I don't know.
My bad.
I think it's if Strand doesn't realize that he has lost any chance of any relationship with Alicia at this point, you know, he's an idiot. And like I said, it's like, you know, if he can't do it himself, he should be turned to his men and say, kill them both and ride away so he doesn't watch, and he can go grieve for a bit, turn away more people coming to the tower for a week or so, and then go back to, you know, business as usual. But to tell somebody when you're pretty much unarmed, she doesn't have a gun, she might have, you know, her little pokey thing, you know, to tell somebody, we're going to war with you, we are going to come back here and take the tower from you, you know, her people aren't going to do that unless she goes back and tells them. If she goes back to the sub, you know, they got a couple weeks worth of food, and then they'd be easy pickings. So I don't think Strand should let her live, but of course he will. He's going to let her walk away and come back with her army so we can have this whole big thing. And,
I think she's gonna come back with Arnold people. Well, Arnold and his people. She gonna make a deal with them. Say, you want the tower, I want the tower. You want to go, since you see me as a leader, get your dudes. We call them stalkers. Yeah, get your stalker dudes. We can work something else and have this war with Strand. She gonna have she gonna bring Arnold and his crew and his buddies and have that war. And this is where when Madison comes. Now, this is where it's going to get tricky, though, because she's probably going to stop Alicia saying that, no, we don't need it. We need to talk to Strand. And Alicia going to say, there's no talking to Strand. You haven't been here, so you don't need to talk. I wouldn't say that to my mama, okay? But it's like, you don't need to talk because you haven't seen Strand and what he has done. Because this ain't nothing new to Strand to be a schemer and backstabber. He's been like this all since day one, though. But
okay, but let me add to that. Madison is a schemer too. Madison has always done whatever needed to be done to make sure that she and her kids were. So I don't think that Madison and Strand are that far apart, really.
But that is true, though.
Yeah, that's why they were so close.
That's why they were so close. Exactly.
Birds of a feather. I don't know.
But it's like I said. Madison's changed. We don't know her mindset, what she's been through. So it's like, is she going to come and try to make peace between the two? Is she going to try to, well, I'm sure she would take Alicia's side over Strand's any day, but I'm like, is she going to try to side with Alicia? What is she going to do? She changes everything. So
is she going to make the Rick speech? We can live together. That whole thing. Which, freaking liar.
She probably will.
So Joe first says Strand is hoping that the provisions run out and they'll come back begging, and again boosting his ego so he can be like the big man. But if they can get enough weapons, or some more catapults with biters.
Hopefully he didn't leave that catapult outside. That'd be a big mistake.
So Joe first also says Will loved her after a couple days. He'd been in that bunker way too long.
Yeah.
I mean, people fall in love very quickly, but they never fall in love with who the person is. They don't fall in love with. They fall in love with. They meet this person. They build up this picture in their mind, and most of the time, not all the time, that person does not fit that picture, or is not close enough to that picture. So they're so obsessed with loving this person, and then it turns out that the person is not who they thought they were. And that's where hearts get broken. You're not the person that I fell in love with. Well, of course not. You didn't fall in love with the person. You fell in love with an idea in your mind. But anyway, moving on. There is questions about why Alicia left the bunker in the first place. Grimes Girl says that they were lured by the bunker, and once they knew there were people, the biters were lured by the bunker, and once they knew people were there, they just hung around. Since people would occasionally fall off the roof, feed them, and they'd get a collection of golf balls, and some artwork could just be sent their way. They're basically, getting all this free stuff. Robert Travis is curious to see what Madison and Morgan meet, because Morgan ain't gonna die. She don't die. I think he's taking over the show even more.
I have a question, because if Madison comes back, and let's just say if she takes the Morgan route, like all lives are precious, like she don't want to kill Strand, I just feel like that's going to be like with Morgan and Madison. Like Morgan wants to kill, get Grace and her and Wendell and the rest of the group out of there, but he wants to kill Strand. But then here comes Madison saying that, I don't want to kill Strand and stuff. So I just kind of like feel like, would there be like a headbutt between Morgan and Madison when it deals with Strand? Kind of like Madison want to keep Strand alive, but Morgan doesn't.
No, I see the perfect end for Strand. All right. So Alicia has Strand at her mercy. She's about to kill him. Madison comes up and says, Alicia, no. Don't. Takes the gun away. You know, Alicia has a gun, takes the gun away, says, you know, don't do it. Turns, blows Strand away, says, you know, I don't want this to be on you, and basically, you know, kills Strand herself. So this whole thing about, you don't want to do this, Alicia, and does it for her. So that, I think, would be the perfect turnabout. I don't know if that's their plan, or if Strand is going to live somehow, but I'd like to see that. I'd like to see Madison's like, you don't want to kill Strand, you know, after all you've been through, so I'm going to do it for you. You know, that's what mothers do. They do the unpleasant tasks for their children. I think they're saying Madison and Strand are pretty close, but you put, you know, Strand versus Alicia in Madison's mind. Alicia's going to win every single fucking time.
Yeah.
So she might be like, I like you, Strand, but you fucked with my daughter. You're gone.
I'm also interested in how like some of the other characters' opinions will weigh in, because I swear to God, if they sideline the cast again in this second half, I'm gonna be so pissed. I know Madison is coming back, but like that doesn't mean just alienate the rest of the cast. Like, still, again, like, so I hope at least, you know, some of the OGs, Daniel, Luciana, you know, I hope they get a say in what's happening, because I'm sure they have some opinions, and I'm sure if they don't write them into the plot at this point, then I don't know why you still got them as your main cast, because like they just focused a lot on Morgan, and I'm like, I love Morgan, but there are other characters. Even The Walking Dead wasn't 100% Rick focused all the time. Like Rick wasn't in every episode. Like they just threw Morgan in. They try to be like get him in as many episodes as possible. And I'm like, there are other characters. We got to be fair. Like, I don't know.
Well, if it's not Alicia or Madison who kills Strand, it's got to be Daniel. You know.
Yeah.
Like Madison says,
he
let him
shot
go.
Daniel in the face, so yeah.
And Daniel says, hey, Strand. Turnabout's fair play. Just shoots him in the face. And
yeah, I'm excited to see what allegiances will be made. You know, because I know Madison, she's gonna want to at least try to reason with Strand at least once.
Yeah.
Alicia's probably gonna be like, nah. Morgan's gonna be like, nah. Daniel's gonna be like, nah. But I don't know. But we also, like I said, we got Grace up there though. So Morgan could be like, I don't want to put Grace and the baby in danger. I don't want to do this right now. I'm not comfortable with this. So there's that. June's up there. So it's still a lot of factors to weigh. Like, what are we gonna risk here?
Well, I think it's also going to be difficult for Strand, because if people inside the tower, you know, learn that it's Alicia leading this army against him, he's going to have to deal with June and John Dory and, you know, Wendell and everybody else who are going to probably be very conflicted. You know, they pretty much don't like Strand as it is. And, you know, so Alicia coming to get them, they're going to have to, he's either going to have to kill them or, you know, or banish them. You know,
well, or
like
he has hostages, which is why Morgan being involved in it is not going to work, because he instantly has 2 hostages against Morgan. He's going to give in. He's not going to want to fight if Grace and baby Mo is on the line. So he really, I can see him taking a back seat and being like, I really don't want to get involved in this right now because I can't afford to lose Grace and the baby. Sarah's not going to want to put Wendell in danger, so I can see her stepping aside. So that's why I can see, like, maybe now is a good time to write in Daniel and Luciana, because Alicia's going to want to get some people on her side. And Daniel, he's going to be the first person in line. So.
Right.
Yeah, he's going to be like, I knew that sounded
There was one point that I wanted to bring up when Morgan and Alicia were talking, and he was basically saying, you know, Alicia, you know, I need you, I need your help. Morgan does not want to leave. He just wants to live his life with his new wife, Grace, and his new baby. He does not want to leave. So I think that with Madison coming back, that's either an opportunity for them to kind of co-lead, coexist, or, you know, Madison to kind of go to the forefront and Morgan to go to the, second position. But Morgan doesn't want to be but I don't think Morgan has ever wanted to really be the leader. It's just kind of been by, default it's turned into a, not a Rick-tatorship, but a Morgan-tatorship.
Kind of trying to build a better community. That's what he always wanted. He wants to build a better community, not like the lead per se. Just like, I just want to build a community where everybody can live at, come in harmony, and he can pick somebody to lead the community. I don't know, maybe Madison, maybe Daniel. I don't know, but
Morgan's a family man.
Yeah, so So
his priorities have definitely changed.
Y'all Madison fans are happy now. I know that she's back.
Yeah,
I'm happy. I am very thrilled she's back, because she was my favorite. So when I was catching up and she got rolled off, I was like, I was not a happy camper. But I'm like, you know what? I really want to watch season 6 and do reactions. I was like, I'm gonna push through this, because I had to do season 2. I didn't care for season 2. I pushed through that. 3 was really good. I enjoyed 3. Yeah. And I did enjoy how they did 4, and then they wrote Madison off. They wrote Nick off. That was a gut punch. So I'm like, all right, Morgan's here. Let me watch this. So I'm like, but I'm happy she's back.
Yeah,
but
because her and Morgan didn't get no scenes either.
But here's the thing:
they've never met.
With Madison coming back, it's like what we've been talking about is they've just given up on trying to like surprise us or have anything. It's like, they announced the Daryl and Carol show, so now we know they don't die. They, pretty much the cliffhanger at the end of the first third of season 11, in the previews, they spoil the fact that they pretty much all survived that attack. So, and now they're like announcing that Madison's returning in the next half of season 7, rather than let it be something like, oh my God, I guess maybe the thought is people will watch. Maybe they're trying to, up the ratings of the show, figuring if they tell people that Madison's going to return, they'll actually watch. But there's no more surprises. It's like, it's like they're trying to do gimmicks to keep the show going.
Yeah, because I think, those, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Like to us, like reactors, like it was a time where we would be shocked if we see somebody or something happening. But now I guess people are just so hungry for spoilers and for announcements, is that it takes away that joy of seeing Madison out of nowhere in 7B, and we be like, oh my goodness, we haven't heard. And then I kind of wish they didn't announce it, honestly.
I wish they wouldn't have.
But
it's like when Daniel came back.
Agree.
Yeah.
That was like, oh my God, because the tape said skid mark, which, was, and so when they reintroduced Daniel and it turned out to be him, that was great. That was a surprise. They're just pretty much, I think, I haven't looked at the ratings, but judging by seeing how the reactors are not getting the traffic they used to on the reactions for Fear, I think despite the fact that season 6 was so strong, season 7, maybe people are just not caring as much about Fear, and they're trying to reinvigorate, interest in it by bringing back Madison, doing this fan service, and announcing it, figuring people will watch to see how she returns. I mean, it's going to be cool to see how they bring her back. It's going to be emotional, even though we know it's coming at some point. But at the same time, I think it's a move. I think that even the main show, because people know it's the last season, is starting to die in the interest. I mean, people in our audience are diehard fans, obviously, and they're going to watch till the bitter end, and that is awesome. But there are a lot of people who have jumped ship and continue to lose interest, and I think they're trying to say, hey, we still got some stuff for you, so come on back and watch Madison's return.
Yeah, and I get that, but it takes some of the fun out of it. Like, I understand when they announced Rick, that made sense because this was a massive change, and they also wanted to announce the movies. I understood that. I might have understood Deny, but then after that, it was just like everything. Maggie's return, then it was like Jadis on World Beyond. Now Madison over here. I'm like, okay, we telling too much. Where's the surprise? Where's the suspense? And like World Beyond, I enjoyed so much this season because I didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't know who was leaving and who was coming. And other than Jadis, but like, and then the ending was surprising. I feel like that's like the first time in a long time that I got actually super surprised at something big, you know. So I love World Beyond for that.
Say no more because I haven't seen season 2 yet. I'm gonna binge it all at once, and you know, and try not to slip my wrists. But
season 2 is so much better. Trust me, it's really good.
I'll take your word. I'll take your word.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah.
When you binge, watch for post-credit scenes. That's all I'm gonna say.
All right.
And I think there's a couple.
We are having people say ratings are the worst ever at the moment, almost all season. Too much Morgan and less of Faves, plus, in their opinion, bad story. I mean, I think the story is a little slow. I think it's not a bad story.
Bottle episodes.
But there's
too many
bottle episodes make it slow. And then, like I said, sometimes like with the mask taken off, that bothers me a lot. Like how are these people not getting sick? Like, you know, I get, you know, you want to show your actors and actresses faces, but I'm like, there's got to be some repercussions for this. They take their mask off too much. And they like using the excuse, oh, we're good.
Wait, are you talking Fear the Walking Dead or are you talking the grocery store? Just say.
No. But yeah, I don't know. I have my issues, but I love the characters on this show. Like, I don't think there's really anybody I dislike. Sherry sometimes, but like for the most part, I like the characters, and that's why I'm keeping going. But like I said, they exclude they cast too much. The bottle episodes, I'm not too much caring for, but
nope, not at all. So enough already. They've overused it. And so now it's just bad. It's terrible, and it's, as you said, it's making everything extremely slow, and it's losing. That's why people are losing interest.
Yeah, they misunderstood
for episodes. I mean, it's multiple episodes without seeing, you know, somebody that you really like. Do one bottle episode a season, okay? Do that. Mm-hmm. They did things so much better in season 6. I mean, season 6, they were on fire. Season 7 is just like a little smoke. There's no fire. And they definitely, I'm hoping that they make a shift in 7B in the second half, because otherwise, I don't know if people are going to continue on, even though it's been renewed for an 8th season. It's going to be hard to keep interest. So somebody needs to talk to the 2 producer guys. I forget their names.
Yeah.
Enough with the bottle episodes. It's just you're just overusing it, and it is, you know, whatever good things that could come out of bottle episodes. Like, you know, we love Clear on the main show. That Clear episode, bottle episode, fantastic. When it's done right, it's fantastic. If you do it every single episode, it loses its luster. Like, enough already.
Yeah, they used to do something with the old Star Trek Next Generation episodes called Servicing the Cast. Even if it was like an episode focused on Data, all the other characters would at least, you know, make an appearance. You know, you knew they were there, they were still doing their stuff. You know, and they did that with a lot of shows in the old days. They, you know, even if the focus wasn't on this particular character, you could see them and they had, you know, a quick interaction, you know, something going on to say that they're still relevant. Mm-hmm. And again, they didn't do focusing on one character that much. And they usually had an A story and a B story, and sometimes even a little C story going on in the background. Mm-hmm. So I think they're, I mean, episodic TV is great, but I do think, you know, or the having a continuity is great, but I think you still need to weave in and out those characters. Even the last episode of the main show, they were going between, you know, Alexandria, what was happening there. They were showing some stuff happening in the Commonwealth, and they were showing, you know, what was going on with Maggie. So they were balancing
Right.
it, and that is
Very
what you
well,
want to see.
yes.
You don't want to wait 5 episodes to find out that Glenn was under a fucking dumpster. You know?
Yeah.
Right. Because I think like the least popular episode of season 11 was the All Reaper episode. It was like, okay, like they were not that interesting as I thought they were. Well, Pope wasn't, at least. He didn't do it for me. But I was like, that was like the one episode I probably would skip if I had to rewatch season 11. But the rest were good because, like you said, the balance was there. And I think Fear the 2, they misunderstood people's like excitement for the anthology. They thought we meant bottle episodes, I guess, or like focus on one character completely. Not, I think they misunderstood like where our excitement was. Like I was happy we were focusing on one, but the cast was still there, like you said, servicing the cast. I think that's what, I guess maybe the fans' input wasn't like 100% received. Like, you know what I'm trying to say? Like they didn't get
Yeah,
everything
remember
we were
Lenny
expecting.
James? Lenny James said on Talking Dead that he was willing to work with, he was waiting to work with Madison. So it's kind
Yep,
of like,
he did.
yeah, so it's like, wait, I'm here to work with the crew of Fear, but it's kind of like, I know what y'all trying to do. Y'all trying to make this like into my show, and this is not my show. I want to incorporate my character with the Clarks and Alicia, Charlie, and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, and not to have Daniel, especially Luciana, not to have her. She may have some few lines, but it breaks my heart that they not utilizing her as well
At all.
And she
pisses
came
me
out,
off.
and she came out of nowhere. She came out of nowhere in season 4. It's like, how did Nick reunited with Luciana? Like, when did this happen? Because we never got a story on that one. But still, he's like, you're gonna bring her back, but you're not gonna utilize her. It's like, okay, I see what y'all doing.
I mean, you gotta
like,
make use of you gotta make use of your ensemble cast. You got a great ensemble cast.
Yep.
And I mean, the Daniel episode last season where he was, going, loco, he interacted with Morgan. He interacted with, everybody. So everyone was actually around.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it focused on him and the way he was handling things, but, everyone else was involved, and I think that's what they need to get back to. And and I don't blame Lenny James for what's happening on the show. I don't blame him that they're trying to turn it into the Morgan show because they're reading the wrong lessons. We can hope in the anthology that we'll have some kind of, additional stories for Fear characters, not just the main show characters or new characters or whatever they decide to do. But there's a lot of there's talk about the Reapers sucked big time, and that season 6 was the right balance, and and obviously Grace taught people how to survive a little bit, but seems like everybody's suddenly like an expert on how to survive the apocalypse and make their own masks out of duct tape and paper clips and all this MacGyvering things together. There should be somebody puking up their guts and shitting themselves to death from too much radiation at this point. Somebody's got
like the people in the Grace's episode, like how they were sick, and then like I want to see more of that because like most of these people, I feel like they just guessing, but it's like working for them. But I'm like, I don't know.
And where did they find all the Geiger counters? It's like everyone's got a Geiger counter.
Yeah. That's a good question.
That and walkies. They had all the walkies they wanted, and all the batteries they wanted. Anyways, we are into serious overtime. I mean, it's fine because it was the finale, but let's go around final thoughts and thoughts for like the back half of the season. Then shameless self-promotion. Tomaj, start us off.
All right. Well, we touched on a lot. I feel like we got everywhere I wanted to go. But like I said, in this war back half, I'm looking forward to Madison. I'm really hoping we get more Daniel, Luciana. Who else did we get? We didn't get Wes. We barely got any Charlie. I don't really care about Charlie, but I'm just saying she deserves some screen time if they're gonna have her in the main cast. All those people, they all deserve some time. They deserve some say in what's happening. So I'm hoping to see that. But yeah, looking forward to it in April, right? I believe it's April something it comes back.
Yeah.
So, yep, Fear fans, I'll see y'all then. I'll be doing reactions on Big Bro and Lil Sis Reacts. So we're currently reacting to Young Justice Phantoms, The Flash, and then Patreon, we're doing Star Trek Discovery, Star Trek Voyager, and Battlestar Galactica. So y'all can catch us over there. And you can follow me on Twitter at Tomaj21, TOMAJ21 on Twitter.
All right. Karena, final thoughts. And if you want to promote anything, feel free.
Okay. Thank you for having me back. I had a great time, so I really appreciate that. Final thoughts for the first half of season 7. It could have been better. I expected more, especially, as I said, since season 6 was on fire. They had so much momentum, and I feel like they have lost all of the momentum in the first half of season 7. So for 7B, more balance amongst the cast, all the things that we've already said. I'm concerned. I'm concerned. I know I don't know if the whole season's been filmed or what, but yeah, I do have some concerns. But for the Madison fans, congratulations to you on getting your girl back. For me, Strand's still my guy, so I'm gonna stick beside him. But yeah, I'm a fan, so I'm gonna keep watching regardless, and I'm gonna be critical, when it's necessary. So as far as promotion, nothing to promote. I'm not a reactor. I'm just a fan. Just like you guys, I'm normally in the comments with everybody else, so it's nice to be on this side. And if you want to follow me talking about walkers or talking about soap, because I'm a soap fan, I do both. You can follow me on Twitter, Tootie Taurus. That's TOOTIE TAURUS on Twitter.
All right. Awesome. Baby.
Well, this first half of season 7 was a bit slow, but I know at 7B we're going to get action packed, okay, with Madison being involved. So I'm looking forward to that. I hope they renew for season 8. Okay, I need to hear news about that. Okay, now for Alicia, I hope that she stays alive because I need my girl. I'm so glad that we get to see season 3 Alicia coming back. I want to see her at season 3 Alicia in 7B. Now for promotion, gosh, I'm about to cry because for promotion, y'all can catch me on my second channel, Baby T Movies, where I do my last 2 movie chats of Christmas movies, Scrooge and The Muppet Christmas Carol. My third channel, Feel React, I do random reactions, but that will all end on December 31st for that channel. But I will do my live New Year's Eve live chat on my main channel at 11:30 for the final time being a YouTuber. Y'all can follow me at Dolores_Mayhem. See me tweet, for Fear the Walking Dead, and Chucky and all that good stuff. So, yeah. So thank you for having me, Governor.
Well, thank you for coming. And, of course, my thoughts are I'm looking forward to All Out War, which is, the Fear the Walking Dead equivalent of that. I mean, I'm hoping to see, and I don't want people to get the wrong impression. We obviously like Fear. We talk about Fear. We watch Fear. That doesn't mean that we always appreciate what the writers do. Season 5 was a shit show. Doesn't mean that, we didn't stick it out and watch season 6 if I was going to do a rewatch. I might, skip season 5. I may actually have to go through and, create a recap video for season 5 and just you can watch this, everything. They found some kids. They're not important. That type of thing. But we're critical because we want to see the show improve. We want to see it, go on to, be as good as the moments we had in season 6. So season 7 so far, it's had some good moments, but yeah, it's not been nearly as engaging as season 6. And I'm hoping that the back half, the last 8 episodes, we get to see the group together again. We get to see them working together. You know, if Strand gets snipped, so be it. You know, and I'm curious to see how Madison returns. Again, a little upset that they feel that they have to tell us these things are coming in order to keep us watching. But yeah, and someone says that they hope Alicia lives and Madison kills Charlie. Not a totally bad thing. I'm still a little upset about Charlie, but I'm starting to warm to her slightly. Not Sherry though. So as far as promotion here on Fandom Spotlight, tomorrow night we have the VCR Redux crew. They're going to be talking about what it would take to make another bad Santa movie, keeping with the holiday theme. And on Thursday, of course, we're going to have our dear friends talking about the latest episode of Hawkeye, which airs tomorrow. So they'll be having their discussion on that. We have lots coming down from LA Comic-Con. We're covering 2 cons this weekend, Steel City and C2E2. So there's going to be even more content from those. And we have some surprises and some new reactions coming. So stay tuned on Fandom Spotlight. Follow all these people on their social medias. And we will see you next time. Thanks for tuning in. Governor and this fabulous crew out.
Highly sedated, intoxicated. We're automated and overpopulated. We're all fish in a stream, swimming towards a vicious dream. Don't you know